angrily stormed into the laboratory. Because her husband had been taken away by someone, her goal was to get him back. At that moment, faced with the director's lies, the woman demanded to see her husband's body. However, when she saw her husband's disassembled body, she couldn't control her anger. With a burst of strength from her hand, she released magic and shattered the glass in front of her. She then approached her husband, trying to use the power of the gem to sense him. But her husband was just a lifeless corpse. He could no longer respond to her. At that moment, the woman finally accepted the truth. Her husband was gone. So she went to the small town, the place where she and her husband had planned to live. Looking at the house foundation her husband had bought for her, a wave of sadness swept over her heart again. She collapsed to the ground and suddenly magic surged within her body. A house appeared on the foundation. And even the entire town was transformed into a black and white scene like a staged drama. But that wasn't all. In order to see her husband again, she chose to recreate his physical form. Though the process was painful for both of them, with the gem's assistance they eventually succeeded in bringing him back to life. Since her husband had no physical body, he could only exist in the illusion the woman had created. And so they lived a happy life together. However, the townspeople were controlled by the magic, losing their thoughts like puppets, repeating preset commands. She took care of the household chores every day while her husband, now looking like a normal person, went to work. Everything seemed to be heading in a positive direction. One day, after a brief conversation with her husband, the next second she found herself pregnant. As the woman marveled at the situation, the surrounding black and white world was once again changed by her. Miraculously, it turned back to color. Seeing his wife's growing belly, the man called in a doctor for a checkup, unable to believe how things had developed. The doctor told him the baby was perfectly normal. He sent the doctor out, and in an instant he saw his wife's belly grow even larger. It was clear she was about to give birth. The man hurried to catch up with the doctor, but the woman was in great pain. With the help of their neighbor Amy, they successfully gave birth to twins. Looking at the cradle with Tom and Billy, the woman thought of her brother Jack. At that moment, Amy reminded her Jack was already dead. The woman realized Amy was an outsider, so she used magic to send Amy out of the illusion, then restored the bookshelf with magic. Meanwhile, Amy was discovered by arriving special forces. She was taken to the hospital for a full examination. It turned out Amy's true identity was that of a national captain. To learn more about the illusion, they invited their friend Dr. Darcy, who brought an old-fashioned video recorder. After a brief snowstorm scene, they watched a sitcom starring the woman and her husband. It turned out everything was created by the woman's magic. To uncover the truth, Amy brought in an old drone which successfully entered the illusion. Just as she was about to communicate with the woman, the director suddenly ordered a missile launch. The soldiers pressed the activation button and the drone lost signal. At that moment, alarms began flashing non-stop. When everyone reached the outskirts of the illusion, they saw the woman stepping out of it. She threw the drone in front of the director and used magic to point the gun at him.